I want to anchor us in a verse before I kind of begin talking. It comes out of James 1. It is verse 17, and it is this: "Every good and every perfect gift is from above, coming down from the Father of lights, with whom there is no variation or shadow due to change." I'm going to put this away. That would be awesome, yes. All right, so I think I said this last night. I am not a speaker, I'm more of a teacher, so I'm going to kind of ask for audience participation today. But before I get to my points, we are going to, I'm going to set up some information for us that I kind of want us to keep in mind for the entire conference. One of the first things is I want to talk about not all parenting is created equal. And what I mean by this is we have different kids with different things that go on with how the brain is structured. And so I want you to keep in mind your own children and what category they might fall into, because not everything that we say up here applies to every child. And if you're not sure something applies to your child, talk to one of us. So I like to think of kids in three groups. These are very broad categories, and there are variations and combinations of all. But kids who have experienced trauma. And we're not talking one trauma, we're talking trauma. Kids in foster care, kids from adoption, abuse situations. The brain functions differently, we have to parent differently. And then the other two categories that I would like to put out there would be neurodivergent and then just neurotypical. Neurotypical would be your normal kids. I don't like the word normal, but that's the word that is kind of used. So I kind of want you to keep in mind with your own kids, there are variations of all the techniques that we talk about that have to be used with kids that have experienced trauma or who are neurodiverse. I try to choose 5 things today that I feel like are applicable to pretty much all kids, that I feel like will connect each of you to your child's heart and really help you be able to have an intimate relationship with them. We talk about kids not being friends. When we're parents and they're young, that's true, but I think we all want our kids to be our friends when they're adults and we're adults. And so these skills will get us there. Go forward one. Okay. So the first skill I like to talk about is engaging in active listening. So I would like everyone here to take a second and think of someone present or in the past that you know who is an awesome listener and write their name down. And if you don't know an awesome listener, that's okay. Is anyone willing to maybe shout out a couple things that this person you wrote down does well? What? Eye contact. Eye contact, okay. Like connection, yeah. Okay, that's a good one. Reflects back the words. Lets you know that they've heard what you're saying. Yeah, there's just something you feel right. When you all think of this person, can you think of what the connection feels like with them when they are engaged in active listening? When they are with you? Yes, no, maybe. Safe. It's a good word. Some cool things about when we engage in active listening is for our children, they receive emotional regulation. There's a whole lot of stress reduction that happens just by the act of not being distracted by anything, our phones. Yeah, and there's measurable results of cortisol going down, which is the stress hormone, and oxytocin coming up, which is the love hormone. Kids who are listened to make more brain connections. They do better in school. They're better at resilience when they're stressed, and they actually have better memories. So active listening, I think, is one of those things that starts young. We don't even realize how young it starts, but I think it starts at, we could argue even the why phase, where kids are, we all know that, the why, when they ask 100 questions. I included in my slides just some kind of description instructions. So I'm going to go ahead and read those. Description, active listening is to make an intentional effort to truly listen to your child and not just hear them. When they speak, put away distractions like phones and give them your full attention. Reflect back what they've said to show that you understand and that you care. Simple instructions. Sit with your child in a calm setting, make eye contact, and show empathy through your body language. Respond thoughtfully, ask open-ended questions to encourage them to express themselves further. I think a really important word, too, is be curious. Curiosity is better than being judgmental. Okay, so on to the next slide here. The next skill that we're going to talk about is creating one-on-one quality time. Anyone here willing to share maybe some things that they do with their kiddos that is quality time? Hot tub dates. Yeah. Yeah. I have a teenager too. We like to shop. My husband can attest to that, but it's actually really great connection time. So creating one-on-one time, spending uninterrupted time, focusing entirely on them and what they like to do. I think one thing that I hear a lot from parents is, I just don't like what they like to do. Learn to like it. Learn to pretend to like it. You only have so many years. Easy ways to do this: schedule day dates or special moments. And it doesn't have to cost money. It can be a walk, a hobby, quiet conversation. One thing that I think is important is when you have multiple kids, have something that's unique for each of you. And it doesn't have to be anything great. It can be putting together a puzzle with one, a TV show you watch with another, but something that is uniquely yours, because they will carry those things into adulthood. I'm sure we all can remember those things we had with our parents. All right, on to the next slide. Is it working now? Okay. The next slide, expressing love through words and actions. Description. Children need to hear that they're loved and that they're appreciated. We all need verbal affirmation. Reinforce your affection not only through words, but also through actions like hugs, holding hands, or small gestures of kindness. Coming into this, I included this here because I asked my own daughter, I said, what is it out of all the things that your parents do that makes you feel like we love you? And she, there could have been any answer. And she said, you have to include, it's like when you just grab my arm and squeeze it when you walk by, or you briefly hold my hand, or a quick hug at the end of the day. And so I know not every kid's going to be the same, but I think it's a good point. Ask your kids, how do they feel loved? Instructions in this, regularly affirm your kids. They need to hear, I love you, I'm proud of you. Incorporate thoughtful gestures like making their favorite meal, giving them a compliment. When you go to the store and you see that their favorite junk food is on sale, buy it for them and let them just have it. Another thing I like to put here with encouragement, give detailed encouragement. You don't have to do this often, but this would be like something like, I really appreciate it when you do this. And when you do this, you really do a great job and it makes me feel this way. It's giving details about why they're doing, how it affects things, and letting them know that you see more than just the surface of what they're doing. All right. The next one is encourage open and honest communication. Make it clear that your child can talk to you about anything without fear of judgment or punishment. I actually think this is super important with teenagers. I like to refer to the teen years, 13, 14 plus, as the pretend adult years. And we don't save our kids from natural consequences. That is one thing. But there have to be times where your kids can come and talk to you about something they've done, and they don't always have to have a punishment as they get older. And older kids. Building trust through open conversation fosters closeness. Instructions: when your child shares something, be non-judgmental and provide a safe space for them to express themselves. Ask questions that promote deeper discussions and validate their feelings. I said this before, be curious. Curiosity, I think, is the number one thing. If you have it in your mind that I'm going to be curious, you're not going to automatically jump into how I feel about this. I can't believe they did that. Whatever sort of judgment comes naturally. All right, and then, let's see, on to the last point here. Being emotionally available. Show your child that you are there for them, not just physically, but emotionally, by responding sensitively to their needs and feelings. So what does it mean to respond sensitively to their needs and feelings? If your kiddos had a bad day and they come home super upset, maybe it's not the time to require them to do the dishes. Maybe it's not the time to get on them about their bad grades. Give them space. Let them talk to you. We give these things to ourselves, but not always to our kids. Be sensitive to what they need. Pay attention to their emotional cues and respond with understanding. Whether your child is happy, sad, frustrated, or excited, be mindful of their emotions, offering comfort or space depending on their needs.